This is the current stock market update for NIO Incorporated, stock ticker NIO. Before we begin with today's stock market analysis, if you find these educational materials to be helpful, please remember to click the like and subscribe buttons. Leave your thoughts below in the comments section so that other traders can find this information more easily on the platform. What we are looking at here is the 4-hour time frame. Each candle represents a 4-hour trading period. And what we can see here is that we're possibly starting to develop a bit of a bottom here, right around $4.40. Now, there's been a very significant decline here from these prior highs. And if you look around at the other channels that are covering this stock on YouTube, when the stock is moving higher like this, that is when people tend to get very excited and start to make outlandish projections, saying things like the stock is going to $100 per share. Unfortunately, what winds up happening in these types of situations is that many people get into the stock at elevated levels. Even with share prices trading at these upward regions here, if you're hearing that the stock is going to $100 per share, maybe it would make sense to not worry about buying the stock even after it rallies into $7 or $8. However, the problem with that is that people at these elevated levels after a major rally, you need to buy low and sell high. If you buy after a major rally, it's very easy to start to get stopped out of those positions. And that is what is currently happening with this latest price movement here to the downside. As we can see, the stock recently fell from about $8.05 into that $4.40 support zone. So the main question here is whether or not we actually start to break some resistance. And this is what needs to happen in order for you to actually expect to see a significant turnaround, something that looks more like this. But of course, in order to get back to $8.05, obviously you'll need to break through $5.80 first, because this is the prior area where selling pressure really started to emerge. One reason to believe that this might be on the verge of happening is the fact that the share price is now trading above the 200 period exponential moving average, as we can see here. If we really all zoom in here a bit further, I don't want to forget to leave out Mr. P out of the frame here, but as we can see, this blue line is now being broken to the top side, as we can see. So what that means is that the stock price is now trading above the entire exponential moving average cluster, or has at least broken above it recently. This is an indication of positive momentum, and short-term resistance levels at roughly $5.25, which would be right here, have also broken. So as you can see, the stock price is starting to grind through some areas where you might expect selling pressure to start to emerge. And what this means is that $5.80 is the next resistance zone and can be viewed as the next upside price target. To the downside, as I said, $4.40 is the major level to watch in that direction. If share prices break below there, it would be an indication of negative momentum. So you do need to look at these things in both directions. You can't just sort of hope and dream for the positive outcome just because you happen to hold the stock. The market doesn't work like that. The market doesn't know which stocks you own or don't own. And they're not going to simply move higher just because somebody makes a YouTube video about it, such as this guy back here. So the best way of watching, where the trend is actually going is to look at the historical price levels. Break of $5.25 is a bullish event, and it does suggest that share prices can move to $5.80. But to the downside, you do need to also pay attention to a potential decline below $4.40. As far as the indicator reading is concerned, I think that you would have to say that on balance, this is a bullish event here, bullish outcome, because the majority of the longer term momentum, so go back to roughly the middle of November 2025, the majority of the momentum here is positive. Now, that's not to say that there isn't any negative momentum, and that should be obvious given the fact that the stock did fall from, it was almost cut in half from roughly 805 into about 440. So it shouldn't be surprising that there is some negative momentum here as well. When we're looking at these things, we do pay more attention to the longer term trend. In this case, the longer term trend would be positive, but it is being balanced out to some extent by the fact that, number one, there is some negative trend reading activity here. And then number two, you're not trading very far from overbought territory as well. So, if share prices extend too far into this red area here, the suggestion is that share price action is becoming too extended in the upward direction. And if things do start to roll over from there, as you can see, there's a lot more room here to move to the downside than there is to the top side. Now, it doesn't mean that the indicator reading can't reset itself and then continue moving higher. But what you need to do in these types of situations is look at both directions, especially when you're dealing with a stock that has a very checkered history such as NIO. There are so many people that are sort of touting this magical $100 level. In my opinion, that's a very random number. I don't think it makes a lot of sense to be thinking about numbers like $100. I mean, that has nothing to do with the underlying valuation. This is a company that may or may not be turning profitable, depending on how much validity or credence you're giving to their earnings reports. There have been some earnings number evidence recently, which would suggest that this company might be moving into positive territory. But you've also got a company that has severe allegations of fraud in its past. So again, you do need to look at both sides of the equation here, and the best way to keep things objective is to simply look at price action itself. So currently, as we can see, there's kind of a range here between $5.80 and $4.40, and the stock is roughly in the middle of that range. So you can make the argument that there's kind of an equidistant potential for price movement here in the upward and downward directions. As we can see, but this recent break above the prior resistance level at 525 and the break above the 200 period exponential moving average coincides with this positive momentum reading down here. And for that reason, for the most part right now, I would say that the bias is slightly more positive than negative, but you also cannot disregard or ignore the potential for negatives given this stock's tremendously checkered history.